Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 43 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in Los Angeles, California, joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
Ray, it's been raining for 2 days straight here. Now, I'm really impartial to that kind of weather because we're lucky. You know, I have people always saying, I wish it rained gold from the sky.
Yeah.
Or money from the sky. I mean, on this planet, it essentially does. When you break it all down, you know, water is the essential element for us to be able to live. So it does rain gold from the sky, if you think about it, because if it didn't rain water, we'd all be dead.
Yeah, that's very true. Water is the number one commodity in the world, and I actually think that there's going to be a day where we're going to be fighting wars over water because
there was a movie about that called Tank Girl. All right, but that's my philosophy show for today. Welcome. We're going to move on from Geeks Who Like Sports. Welcome to Philosophizing with Lee. Let's talk a little bit about life. Life is Star Wars. Life is XFL football. Life is hockey. Some might say we live hockey, Ray.
Yes.
Some might say we don't. Ray, I'm doing great. It's glad to be here today. Episode 43. As you can see, if you're watching this, new little project I'm working on. I'm kind of doing my studio here, so it's kind of halfway there, which is why I've got like a weird background going on. But in the coming weeks, you just wait because there's geekdom everywhere. Sports stuff. It's going to be a true Geeks Who Like Sports office / studio / place that we can call home. I'm Lee Elias, and I approve this message.
Cool. Well, that's great. We look forward to seeing the changes behind you. I'm doing well also. I actually had breakfast for once today. Wow. Breakfast actually constitutes, of course, just the sleeve of Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints. But
I did the same thing. Oh my god, dude, that's awesome. We're like totally the same person. I mean, I'm not kidding. I really did do that.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah,
I have to go to the gym now because of it. But god damn, it was good.
Yeah, I know it was.
Thank
so
you,
good.
Nina Weisel, my goddaughter. Thank you for buying 5 boxes. I bought 5 boxes, but delivered. I enjoying them very much. If you don't get Thin Mints, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, Thin Mints and Tagalongs. That's what I get.
Yeah, right. I've met people like, I hate Thin Mints. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Do you hate America too?
Who hates Thin Mints?
Yeah.
Who? I was talking to a guy last night at my theater group because I'm part of a group called Deadline Junkies. We meet every Monday.
Shout out.
And I brought in the last of my tagalongs because there's this girl, Katie, who's like, "Oh, I've never had a tagalong before." I'm like, "You never had a tagalong before?"
Yeah.
So I gave it to her, and she didn't like it.
It's unacceptable.
I'm like, "What's the matter with you? How can you not like chocolate and peanut butter?"
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that. Do you like Reese's? Does she like Reese's? Because if you like Reese's,
that's basically it's Reese's with a little cookie in the middle.
Listen,
I don't know.
Again, prioritizing things, man. And geekdom, snack food is a major topic, as you and I know. These are all good. I imagine people who don't like Thin Mints also don't like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
That's very true.
I imagine, and they're out there. I mean, like I said, we don't. You know, there's no. I don't know. It's not racism. There's no word against that.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's delicious. It's minty. Some people just don't like mint.
Yes, the candy. Okay? We amongst the candy and cookie elite. Demand Thin Mints should be at the top of every. Hierarchy.
We should go sit outside with like Thin Mints are the best Girl Scout cookie. Change my mind.
Change my mind.
Have really deep debates about it with people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then just sound like those idiots on the TV, but you can't prove me wrong, so I'm right.
Yeah, exactly.
But what about Oreos? We're not talking about Oreos. Okay, they're delicious too. We're talking about Thin Mints.
Yeah. Keep
the focus here and now. We should probably do our show.
We should, but that actually does bring up a good topic for maybe the crowd. What is your favorite game time snack?
That's great. You know, I just realized we didn't really think of a mashup today, so maybe we'll use that later on.
Well, you know, start thinking about it now, folks. Later on, that will be our question of the week. What is your favorite game time snack?
Yeah. I like it. Because it goes
food.
Both ways, right? It could be sports or gaming, but it's usually the same thing. Okay, I've already got an answer, but you're going to have to wait at home. Remember, for those of you listening at home, we do put the time codes beneath if you're listening to the full episode, whether it be the podcast or the vlogcast or the simulcast, whatever you're listening to. So you can skip ahead and behind. We will not be offended if there's a topic that does not interest you. We want you to hear the parts you want to hear and share this with your friends. Please.
Yes. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, please do. Yeah. But, so keep that in mind for later. Definitely comment below when we get to that point. Or now, but
Do you want to do sports first or geekdom first today, Ray? I'm going to let you pick. Just so you know, we have a loose schedule every week, but that's how good Ray and I are. We mostly ad-lib this entire show, which is what a podcast is anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of what we do. We just kind of let it flow. But yeah, we usually do geekdom first. I think geekdom's actually going to be a shorter section this week, so
sure.
I think we'll do that, and then we'll.
We say that every week. We say that every week, and that's never true. But
I know, and it's still a half hour. But I do believe this week geekdom will be a little bit shorter. We're gonna be talking later on about XFL and the possible new baseball playoff format. But for geekdom, obviously, we're going to be doing a little bit of an Oscar recap, and. We're also going to be doing Lee has some new Star Wars knowledge to impart upon us. Yes, so that it should be a good gun time. So Oscar recap. Parasite was the big winner, won 4 awards, including Best Director and Best Picture. First foreign language film to get that, so that's a big deal.
That's cool to see. I mean, that's a very Oscar move.
Yeah.
Right? That I'll get into that in a minute. I'm not trying to take anything away from Parasite, but it's just a very Oscar move the last few years is that the movie that wins is usually the ones that a lot of people haven't seen now.
Yeah. No, I mean, out here, Parasite's very, very popular. I haven't had a chance to see it. The only movies I really saw that were up for consideration was Joker, which, of course, Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor, which was not a surprise. Yeah. And now, basically, as Jack Nicholson's like, where's my Oscar?
Probably deserved one. I'd be interested to see, because he would have been, what, Best Supporting Actor? That's a good question, right?
Yeah, but he might have been Best Actor, because he had top billing.
Look it up. I'm going to look it up. Well, okay, did Heath Ledger win Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor?
He won Best Supporting Actor.
So, and would this have been the 1990 Oscars or 1989? Probably 1990, right?
I think. Well, it would have been 1990 celebrating 89, right? Like, it would have been February of 1990.
So I'm gonna go to the 1990 Oscars real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll look at both of them, but okay. So let's see. I don't know what other. Driving Miss Daisy came out in 89. So this is the same reel. Okay, so actor in a supporting role. Okay, so I did this. Now, these are actually some really damn good movies. All right, so acting in a supporting role that year, Denzel Washington got that for Glory, which I'm not going to take that away from him. That was actually really well done.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up acting in a actor in a leading role was, damn it, it was Daniel Day-Lewis for My Left Foot. I can't really not give him that either.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jack.
Listen, he would have been going up against Daniel Day-Lewis for My Left Foot. He would have been going up against Morgan Freeman for Driving Miss Daisy, Robin Williams for Dead Poets Society, which also could have won.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, Born on the 4th of July, and Kenneth Branagh for Who Has No Lips for Henry V, excuse me. That's 1990. I'm gonna give the Academy the benefit of the doubt.
That's when all the movies were really good.
Yeah. Now the previous year, just this will be funny. The previous year, Dustin Hoffman won for Rain Man. Can't argue that.
Yeah.
and then actor in a supporting role, he could have probably done that. Kevin Kline won that year for A Fish Called Wanda. Alec Guinness was actually nominated that year for Little Torrent. Martin Landau, Tucker, The Man and His Dream. That was a really good movie. River Phoenix for Running on Empty, and Dean Stockwell for Married to the Mob. So he could have won that year. So had he done the movie in 1988 and was a supporting, and you get it.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yes. But it was no. So okay. So Nicholson understandably probably wouldn't have won back then, but now Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix, of course, having won Oscars for the same role. So
yeah, we posted a great photo up on the Geeks Who Like Sports wall of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker driving the Heath Ledger Joker. They both look crazy. It was pretty cool to see. But yeah, that role, man. I wonder if that's the first role. Geez, outside of Shakespeare, I wonder if it's the first role ever to get 2 people to win it for different performances. Because that's saying something.
That is true. I mean, it is. I mean, it's also both of their takes were so different. Obviously, both of the films were so different. Yeah. But
you also left Jared Leto out, man. What's up with that?
Yeah, Jared Leto was not nominated when he performed as Joker.
But has plenty of Oscars, ironically.
That's very true. Actually, it's very funny. Yes, he's actually a great actor who did terribly in that role.
That's true.
Look, there's sometimes there's just some folks who just get it and some folks who don't, and he didn't get it.
So you want to do 7 Degrees of Separation. So old Batman Christian Bale killed Jared Leto in American Psycho, who then played the Joker, but won an Oscar later on for that movie with Matthew McConaughey.
Dallas Buyers Club or something, right?
So he won an Oscar, won supporting actor in that, but then he played Joker, couldn't get an Oscar. So there's a lot of things going on there.
Yeah, once you're in Hollywood, you kind of just, once you're an A-lister, you kind of just...
Yeah. I'm amazed Brad Pitt won, to be honest with you. It was a great performance.
I was actually very surprised as well.
He was my... Go ahead, sorry, my bad.
It was a stacked category, and...
he was 5th on that, in my opinion, and they were all good performances. They were all good. I don't want to take anything away from him. Tom Hanks was pretty amazing as Mr. Rogers. Anthony Hopkins was pretty amazing as the Pope. Al Pacino and Joe Pesci were pretty amazing as Al Pacino and Joe Pesci. But
yeah, I mean that's the only thing I would say is that it was Al and Joe playing Al and Joe. But still,
they wouldn't dare kill Hoffa. What are you doing with Hoffa? You don't know what Hoffa does at night. Oh.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that. That Brad Pitt kind of won. I wonder if it's almost like, we've talked about this before sometimes, if the vote was so split
maybe
that he might have eked out because some people were so torn between all the different roles.
You want to know what it was, dude?
What?
They made a movie about Hollywood, and Hollywood loves them some Hollywood.
Oh, that is very true. That is actually why I'm surprised. Actually, I thought this might have been the year that Quentin might have gotten actually director.
He'll never win that. Because Hollywood hates him.
Right, but I thought
they put Hollywood in the name.
Well, I was gonna say, that's the thing. I was like, what's gonna be stronger, Hollywood's hate of Quentin or Hollywood's love of themselves? And I actually thought they might have but they actually hate Quentin more than they love themselves, which is really saying something.
And I have to say this officially on the record that the fact that Quentin Tarantino has never won an Oscar, I'm not gonna say is atrocious. I'm actually going to reverse it. It tells me everything I need to know about the Oscars. All right, because this man has made some of the most iconic films I've ever seen. He does it his own way. It is always unique, and for everything together, from the cinematography to the editing to the storytelling, I don't think I've ever seen a director as good as him as that. So the fact he doesn't have an Oscar is disappointing to me for the Oscars. But I take the Oscars. We'll get into this in a minute, but with a very I don't have a lot of faith in the Oscars anymore. I did when I was younger, but it's gone now.
No, I can tell you for a fact that the Academy's made up of a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, thank you.
It's just the truth, and the fact is that there's a lot of politics and stuff. I mean, remember it took Scorsese forever to get his first Oscar too.
Yeah,
it's just one of these things where you get labeled as something in Hollywood, and then Hollywood will never let you get out of that label or out of that box. And
it's upsetting. That's all I'm going to say. It's upsetting. I don't like it. There's no host anymore. I mean, are we getting into this real quick, or do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, no, you get into it.
Yeah, I lost a lot of faith in the Oscars over the last few years. Again, I have to preface this. This is my opinion. I'm not trying to spread my opinion to other people. I do not like that politics and Oscars seem to coexist. I don't even like that Hollywood gets into politics. It has nothing to do with political affiliation. That's not why I'm watching. It's the same with sports. I'm not watching sports for that. It doesn't mean that if they have a voice, they shouldn't use it. I hear that argument. They just shut up and act or shut up and play football. I don't agree with that either. It's just how you do it. Don't use the Oscars as the platform. Go out there and do something. The great example I always give is Angelina Jolie, who does an incredible amount, just an unbelievable amount of philanthropic work, political work. She stands by her laurels, but you don't hear about it because she's doing it. And she's actually doing something, right? And I don't like blowhards that just kind of say things. And again, this could go both sides of the political spectrum here, all right? Because it does happen on both sides, believe it or not. Just you don't hear about it a lot on the right because it's not broadcasted. But again, not trying to get political. I don't like it. I like the Oscars a lot better when that wasn't part of it. All right. And it's like, as you said, how am I not supposed to think some of these picks are political at this point? Right?
I mean, look, I'll go to the category that I probably know the most about this year, which was the shorts this year. Yeah. And the fact that Hair Love won, and look.
Yeah. You spoke about this last week. Yeah.
Every short was Oscar worthy. I will say that it was, again, very stacked category, but it feels like Hair Love was the most woke choice when it wasn't, to me, the best short. To me, again, the best short was Memorable, the one about the old man with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And I will say I did agree with My Neighbor's Window as well. My Neighbor's Window, which won live action short.
Yeah. You did speak about that a lot last week.
Yeah, so that was the one that I would have picked for that. But for Memorable, not to, again, they were all very worthy. But for me, Hair Love was, in terms of the story, was probably the weakest or second weakest of the five.
Well, and like you said, you can see this in the Best Picture category. Like, I just, it's tough. I don't like to rip on anything I haven't seen. I haven't seen Parasite, so I'm not gonna rip. It might very well be the top choice. And all the nominees usually are very, very good. I'm not trying to take that away. It's just like there have been years, like you go all the way back to, I think, 94 or 95, where it was like Forrest Gump versus Shawshank Redemption. It had to be one of the hardest picks in the history of the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
And I without naming movies, I don't think it's been that way the last 5 or 6 years. I think there's usually a pretty clear winner. And for whatever reason, that one does not get picked, because I think it's just like, I can't pick that because of this. Pick the best film, and this is what happens when you mix politics with the Oscars. Is there's decisions being made. Now, with that said, there's a difference between picking a winner and selecting nominees. I do think that the Oscars have been very biased when selecting nominees over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but that's an easily changed thing. So anyway, the Oscars are not what they used to be to me. I put absolutely 2% faith in their picks of what I should be looking at. It's a nice little thing, but again, no host. It's just so stupid the way this is done nowadays. I almost just wish there was just a list that came out and said, "Here you go."
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm at the point where, like, why are you televising this stuff? Why is it still 3.5 hours long? Like, I don't need.
Gervais said it the best, right? It's just like so stupid and drawn out.
I mean, the only good thing this year was, I think, a lot of the musical performances were actually very good.
Yeah, Eminem was really cool, just the story behind that I think he was actually sleeping when he actually won the Oscar for 8 Mile. Yeah. And so he came back and he's like, "I'm sorry it took so long." Billie Eilish is always great. She's a modern artist. A lot of people, I think, that are over 40, over 35 hate her just to hate her. She's quite an artist. I think that's
for sure.
Short-sighted.
Elton John won an Oscar.
Yeah, which is amazing. So, but here's the thing: music's always better.
Yeah,
like, because you can't. It's almost like that's a category you can't mess up, because music has always been so diverse. It's well ahead of the film. Music is well ahead of film. It always has been, but in a socially regarded way. But this is Geeks Who Like Sports, right? So I want you to talk about the stat you told me about with Avengers Endgame.
Yes. So this is the first time in history that the film at the time of the Oscars that was the highest grossing film of all time did not win a single Oscar. Always up to this point, there had been at least 3 wins. Jurassic Park, Jaws, Sound of Music had 5. Gone with the Wind, I believe, had 7 or 8. Titanic had 10. All of these, which were the highest ranking films of the time when they were up for Academy Awards, won at least 3 Oscars. Avengers, big old goose egg, big old 0. I mean, not even a costume award, not even a cinematography, nothing.
It's a shame.
Nothing. I mean,
it's a shame.
And look, not to say that money equates quality, right? That's not to say, but to completely ignore the fact of what that movie did. Even if it had gotten a special Oscar, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit did, right? Like, they didn't know where to put Who Framed Roger Rabbit, so they gave it a special honorary Oscar on its own as a film. Yeah. And it's like, and that could have been something with Avengers too, where
Hollywood just would not allow themselves to do that, because they hate Marvel and they hate comic books so much.
Yeah, they hate they hate how I guess the kind of the populace, right? It appeals to the mass audience, the popcorn flick, right?
Well, it's money too. Yeah, it takes money.
Right. They hate in a way, as much as Hollywood loves themselves, they hate themselves at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Quagmire.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that you have Marvel honestly being one of the few things that kind of keeps movie theaters open in this town half the time. But you won't give them any sort of recognition. It just kind of shows the two-facedness of this town, and it's a shame. And again, money doesn't equal quality, but the fact that it's completely snubbed overall is kind of a shame.
Look, I'll admit Endgame did not have the best storytelling as an individual film, which I think is a criteria for an Oscar, right? I think I always said this before. Infinity War actually had one of the best storytelling stories ever with Thanos, but to not win anything, to snub that film completely, and what it accomplished over 22 films is really stupid. And again, it's another reason why I don't like the Academy. It's just they shut it out on purpose. They screwed them out of something. They deserved something. Costume design, special effects alone. I mean, like if you saw some of the breakdowns, I don't know if you have, but I like to watch the behind the scenes stuff of like how they created the final battle. That battle alone. Are you not entertained? Are you not convinced that? I mean, it was flawless from what I can see. Not to mention the amount of stuff that they put in. They should have gotten an award for putting Howard the Duck in that thing. All right. So I don't watch the Oscars anymore. I do pay attention to kind of who wins. I'm not going to admit that, but I don't watch it anymore.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either for the most part. I watched a couple of replays of the musical performances. But I was busy. I was working. Like I had stuff to do. To me, it's just another Sunday. And I'm in LA.
It's just it doesn't work in the digital age. I don't know how else to say it.
And then the only other thing I also want to say is congrats to Taika Waititi for also winning an Oscar for Jojo Rabbit for adapted screenplay. Reminding everyone again that killing Nazis deserves as many awards as possible. So congrats to him. And honestly, I love what he said. About him playing Hitler, him as a Maori person, as a half, also has half Jewish, and he's like, isn't it just the biggest FU ever to him for me to play Hitler and then win an Oscar for it? I'm like, yes, and that's awesome because
that's a good political message, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's a fun one,
Yes. So we can all get behind killing Nazis because Nazis are horrible, terrible, despicable, and should be eradicated at every possible opportunity.
I approve this message.
Yes. So that's it for our Oscar talk. Now on to Star Wars. Something
else
that Hollywood seems to hate now.
Absolutely, but the people don't. So I officially ended Star Wars season, I think, 2 episodes ago, and as soon as I ended it, lots of stuff started coming up. Clone Wars next season, we got things everywhere. So what I'll do is, because I don't like to lose, I'm going to say Star Wars season is over because there's nothing new coming out this second except for Clone Wars, but this is just general Star Wars discussion, so stay with us, if you will.
It's the Star Wars off-season.
It's the Star Wars off. It's the hot stove, right? The hot Star Wars stove. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to talk Clone Wars. Clone Wars is coming. We're all very excited about that. As that approaches, I will have more information on that. I do know it's going to merge in with Revenge of the Sith and possibly change some stuff. We'll see. What I want to talk about today, Ray, and this is like my little gem I'm going to drop, is we figured it out. It has been unveiled. Star Wars has officially unveiled. Those of you listening at home, this is it. I'm going to unveil something to you. Who was Jedi Master Sifo Dyas? Why did he make the clone army? So forth and so on. And if you're still listening, I'm going to tell you. Dramatic music must be playing. All right, so here's the deal. I'll run you through it. So Jedi Master Sifo Dyas and Dooku were friends in the Jedi Order. And Sifo Dyas went into something called the Cosmic Force. Now, what is the Cosmic Force, you say? It is the ability to see into the future. And apparently he got really into the Cosmic Force and started to master the ability to see in the future. Now, the Jedi started to reject this because they said that you can't control the future, so therefore it's not important for you to look into the future. Also, in motion always is the future. They said this is kind of a waste of time, right? Which is just a typical Jedi thing to say because the Jedi are just the dumbest idiots in the world about making their own demise. This is why I like the bad guys in Star Wars. Like the Jedi are cool, but they're very flawed. All right, and they always, you got to remember too, at this point in the history, I think they've been in power for over 1,000 years, so they're pretty complacent.
They gotten very bogged down within their own politics.
Yeah, and they're so dedicated
kind of like
to
our
the
politics.
Yeah, exactly. They're so dedicated to the Order, they can't see beyond it. And remember, you got to remember at this time, they don't realize that a Sith Lord is alive and well. Yeah. Right, so they just think the Sith are gone, so they're getting complacent. So Sifo-Dyas gets into the cosmic force, looks into the future, and sees a massive war. Right? He sees this massive war, which obviously is the Clone Wars. So he kind of goes behind the Jedi's back. I think I have to use plural. The Jedi back. He goes behind the backs of the Jedi.
There we go.
I like the yeah. And goes to Kamino and makes the clone army. He puts it into effect. And if you remember in Attack of the Clones, that is what he says. That General Sifo-Dyas made this army. Now, originally in the script, Sifo-Dyas was going to be Darth Sidious. Okay,
right.
And like it was just an MO, but it's been changed now, and the canon is he created it. Now, what happened to him? This is where his friendship with Count Dooku comes in. And Dooku was an apprentice to to Palpatine, to Darth Sidious. They did not like that he could see in the future and had him killed. And he had him killed by like a bounty hunter or a gang. It wasn't even anything special. But that is it. For those of you wondering at home, that was one of the biggest mysteries in the Star Wars universe was who is Sifo-Dyas and why did he make the clone army? We have an answer now. He was using the cosmic force. Of course, I love the force, so now I'm very interested to hear more about the cosmic force. They did say, too, that the Jedi rejected it as more of it. That's a dark side thing to look to the future.
Right.
And again,
that makes sense.
I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with that, but the Emperor is always saying this is exactly as I have foreseen. It does play into this, all right, and how the Jedi and the Sith, and remember, Star Wars is always very black and white with their planets, with the Force, with their characters. Once again, proving why they're both dummies. They're just big dumbs. And that why Dark Jedi are the obvious answer to being awesome in the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
Dark Jedi, the definition of one who can tap into both sides of the Force, not the one that like turns and runs away. And Dark Jedi. So there you have it. That's my Star Wars thing for the week. Those of you now you know. That's Bill Nye the Science Guy, which is also geekdom. It just all works here.
Yes.
Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas, the mystery has been solved, and they are just closing all of the Skywalker. They're closing all of those
loopholes,
so they can be like, here's a big ball of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the new stuff we're making, Star Wars.
Yeah. It's a whole galaxy for us to explore.
Yeah, there's other
the Skywalkers
time periods.
are not everything.
It's like thousands of years, other time periods. But we get, I'm actually with Star Wars in this. I'm ready to move on. Let's keep going.
Yes, for sure.
More Mandalorian,
definitely.
please.
Yes, more Mandalorian. Clone Wars Season 7 coming out in a couple weeks, actually.
It's going to be good. It's going to be very dark.
Very exciting.
Star Wars is always better when it's dark.
Yes, and probably going to give us more of Gideon and tie up and give us some loose ends connect to the Mandalorian. So
I hope
very
so.
Smart, very smart of Disney what they're doing.
Ray, let me ask you this question: Are we
yes.
going to transition here? Because there's a reason I have to ask.
We are about to transition. Yes.
Okay. This is a first. This is a hallmark transition here. We pride ourselves on making great transitions, but this is a little special today because I think the XFL. I didn't do that right. The XFL.
There we go.
Is moving from geekdom to sports, like officially sports, because like we didn't really know where this lied for a while, and it was kind of edging towards sports. But when we talk about the XFL in the past, it's much more of a WWE geekdom type thing, even though the WWE always is it. This is officially sports now. Like I don't look at this as geekdom at all. This is a pro football league, and I loved it. Now, Ray, before I go on a 16-minute speech about it, I'm going to allow you to talk. Tell me about the XFL.
Well, yes, this was the inaugural weekend for the XFL, XFL
awesome.
2.0. It's back. And, folks, it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good overall. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people were watching.
A lot.
Like, this is legit. This is already starting to make waves. And, like, people who've gotten on board, like Fox and ESPN, have both kind of, like, paying attention. Now, whether or not it can sustain this popularity, we will see.
Yes.
Obviously, something new. Week 1 going to have a huge numbers, big numbers on Saturday, big numbers on Sunday. Had 2.5 million people on the ESPN game, the second game of the day, which was St. Louis versus
Battlehawks.
Yeah, St. Louis Battlehawks versus
Dallas Renegades.
Yes, versus the Dallas Renegades. Yes.
Yeah.
And also this is also a big deal. St. Louis, in the St. Louis market, it was huge. It did huge numbers.
Massive.
Because you can tell this is a city that is hurting for football since the Rams went back to LA.
They missed their Rams, man.
Yes.
And
So
when I was there, When I was there, they would talk about the Rams, and they were pissed because the Rams did not leave on good terms in the sense of the fans didn't want them to leave, the owner wanted them to leave.
Yeah.
So they love football in St. Louis.
Yeah, this was a big deal. So this is a big deal. This is basically St. Louis saying, like, we want football and we will support this. So at the very least, no matter what happens with this league, the Battlehawks are going to have a fan base. Average attendance at the games wasn't terrible. About 18,000 people were there live
crowd.
Per game.
It's an NHL crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Hockey crowd, basketball crowd.
Basketball.
A good start for something that you didn't know. I mean, and tickets are available now for probably about $20 a pop if you're in a respective market.
Well, I think that's only going to grow. I mean, especially as we get out of the winter. Like, it's cold in some of these areas too.
For sure. Yeah. Especially if you're. I mean, it's gonna be nice and sunny in LA next week. LA has their home opener. They started the season with they have the worst loss now in XFL history. In the history of the XFL, they have the absolute worst loss.
Lost
by 20 points to Houston.
To New York. To Houston, that's what it said.
Yeah, LA lost to Houston. New York beat New York decimated. Actually, I should say this: Tampa has tied for the worst. New York beat Tampa by 20 points as well. As the
only
Guardians,
game that was not a game at any point.
No, the Guardians dominated that game, and everybody said that Guardians were underdogs in that game too, coming into it, and the Guardians just
which is amazing to me. But we
decimated them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with something like this where it's an kind of unknown league. You didn't know what you were going to get. But the Guardians, they forced a lot of turnovers. Matt McGloin threw the ball pretty well, had a rushing touchdown. Just really played better at every aspect of the game.
Enough about New York.
LA already fired
I can't have you talking about New York too much. Yeah, they won the game. All right. If this team ends up winning the XFL, I'd quit already. Tired of New York. For those of you who don't know, Ray and I have split the teams. Ray's going for the Guardians, New York, and I'm going to root for the DC Defenders, who also won their first game, the first game ever in XFL 2.0 history. The DC Defenders won. Also led the XFL. Now, this is now an all-time stat. They lead the XFL with 9 yards per pass. Where Cardale Jones, best quarterback in the league right now. I'm just saying. There's no doubt.
Very true. But yeah, no, it was honestly a pretty good weekend for football and for the XFL. Like, again, they had a lot of people watching. Also, a good point to make: more people were tuning in. They were getting their ratings peaks in the second half, which meant that people were tuning in to see the ends of the game, and they weren't watching the start and then going away. So that's a big thing. That's audience retention. That's people who are interested. Those are people who are hyped up.
Well, the games were entertaining. They were entertaining to watch. And the new rules worked out. I mean, they were entertaining games, fun football. And it wasn't so far off football that it wasn't football like the original XFL was, right? The other thing, too, is you started this by saying something like, it wasn't perfect. Like, I'm thinking to myself again, like the NFL's perfect. Right, after last year.
What I'll say what I mean by not perfect is that there were some plays where
drop balls, missed
a lot of dropped passes. There were some missed blocks, like definitely some rust, some I don't want to say amateurish, but definitely like these guys are still kind of going through some growing pains as well.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: you got to remember too, they didn't have preseason games, right? These are the first games really that they've played. Some of these guys haven't been hit in years, right? Yeah. So it's like I think that statistically with this, throughout the course of the season, when we see how many drop passes or missed coverages, and then we can start to compare it to the NFL. I'm not ready to do that just yet. It's not the NFL, like in terms of talent. Yeah. Okay, it's okay to admit that, but it's not far off. I mean, most of these guys, I think you said something like 95% of the rosters played in the NFL or were involved in the NFL with the practice squad at some point. So it's good stuff, right? It was good stuff.
They all have legit college experience or minimal pro experience for sure.
Yeah. And the new rules were great. The obvious one, the kickoff rule that we've always been talking about. It's pretty obvious. The NFL won't do anything for years because it's the NFL, but that's one that obviously needs to change. For those of you who don't know, in the NFL, obviously the kickoff team, the teams with the ball. In the XFL, they're down the field. I think about the 30-yard line, 35-yard line. Right. It's just a safer and easier play to defend. Plus, it promotes that the receiver will run the ball out, not just down it. So that worked out really well. A lot of controversy on the PAT. It's essentially just traditionalists versus non-traditionalists in football. I think it's too early to make a call on that. I did like watching it, but it was more for this is new. this week. So I'm interested to see how that plays out throughout the season. Some weird calls by coaches on that 1, 2, or 3-pointer PAT. There's no PAT kicks in the XFL. Some other things too is I did see a double forward pass, which was pretty cool.
Yep.
I believe the DC Defenders did that, or one of the teams did that.
Yeah. I think it was the Defenders. It was the first game.
Yeah, it was a huge play too. It was like a 30, 40-yard pass. So that was really cool. Some of the other plays, I mean, obviously we didn't have an overtime this week. But, one of the things Ray and I were talking about, which was cool, is that in that DC Defenders game, I think a few games, there was a team up by 9 to 12 points going in the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And Ray and I were talking because in an NFL game, you're done at that point, most likely. Right. If you're up by 2-3 scores, you're done. And we were talking about the XFL. It's not done. If this other team gets a possession and the way the clock stops, if they get a touchdown and go for 3 and get it, all of a sudden they're right in this thing. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool in terms of retention. It kept me going. The only game that didn't have that obviously was the New York Guardians game. That was over before it started, obviously. Yeah. And then you said it earlier before I cut you off. One of the teams already fired the coordinator.
Yeah, the defensive coordinator. LA already fired the defensive coordinator, Pepper Johnson, and already released one of their linebackers, who was actually one of their better players. It's like I don't know what's going on with that, but
something's going on. I mean,
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. But
There's
I think
turmoil
overall, with
the Wildcats.
That's amazing. Yeah, for the week 1, that's not a good sign. But yeah, look, the other thing I wanted to mention too was on the over/under. So one of the things the XFL is doing is they're not hiding the betting. They're not hiding the odds.
They're
and stuff
embracing
like that.
it.
Yeah, they're embracing it as they should because it's mostly legal now. One of the things I found amazing was on the Defenders game. All right, the DC Defenders game. I was shocked. So the over/under on that game was 51.5. All right, and it's the first XFL game ever. How did they come up with that number, right? And I remember thinking the first half of the game, teams were kind of testing each other out. It wasn't a lot of scoring. I'm like, well, they're not going to get to 51. Man, I think it was at 50. I think they combined to it's like, man, how does Vegas know that? Yeah, it was dead on. Yeah, how do they even know that the over under on that stuff? You know what I mean? So. Yeah. Pretty amazing to see that. A lot of scoring, a lot of fun. It's a fun league to watch. You could watch, except for that Guardians game, you could watch pretty much any game, and it was enjoyable. And the Guardians game was only enjoyable to people from New York. Yeah. I did say, too, that the Vipers deserve to lose for those horrendous jerseys.
They're pretty ugly.
Yeah, they look like they're in any given Sunday. But, there you go. XFL Week 1 in the books. Really entertaining, really fun to watch. It will be very interesting to see the retention moving forward, but also the competition and how these teams learn to evolve. Most teams spent the first half, except for New York, most teams spent the first half kind of testing the waters a little bit, trying to figure things out. But almost every game had a great second half. It was enjoyable. They were almost all 3 hours long. Every game was about 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no complaints. I have no real complaints. The officiating was good.
Yeah, honestly, seeing the officiating, going into the replay booth with the replay official using his Xbox One controller to scroll back and forth on the replay, but for the dude, you could hear the headsets as they're talking to the referees and talking about hey, listen, Bob, listen, I'm watching this here. He was short of the line to gain. It's you got to make this 3rd and 1. Put this time back on the clock, and the replay official initiated that. Yeah. And I remember I saw that in the LA Houston game where it was no, he's short a yard. He's you guys mismarked it. And they moved the ball back. And it just happened. There was no coach's challenge. Yep. It was a short delay.
Yeah. Just the right call.
Yeah, it took a minute. It took a minute. Even on pass interference calls or late hits or whatever, and he's like, no, he didn't lead with the crown of his helmet. He hit him with his shoulder. The helmet contact was incidental. It's a clean hit, good hit, no penalty. Refs are no penalty on the play. It was a good hit. It was a clean. And it's just that took a minute. It took a minute.
Yeah. See, with the XFL, the NFL would do with that if they had that is there'd be the one, but then you'd have to have a second guy because you can't have one guy being impartial, and then there's two guys, and then if they can't agree, then there has to be a third guy that has to make the tie-breaking vote. Then it goes up to the Senate to the vice president, and then they have to have the Speaker of the House. It's what the hell are you guys doing? Done. Done.
Yeah.
Sold.
No, absolutely smartly done. And also, I also want to say too. XFL social media, a lot of fun, very smart. Even though the Guardians did look like they were dominating most of that game, it was 17-0 Guardians at the half.
Yeah.
But then the XFL tweets out, and it's true because like Lee mentioned back with the scoring, 17-0 is a 2-possession game. It's not 3 like in the NFL. They can get 9 and 8 and tie it up, and that is a huge deal. Like the fact that 17-0 means it's a 2-possession game, and again, also like Lee said, it's going to be interesting to see what teams typically go for. Most of the teams I watched only were going for the 2-point conversion, which is from the 5-yard line. But the Guardians played it safe a lot of the time and only went for 1, which is from the 2-yard line. And I didn't see any 3-point attempts. I didn't see any 3-point attempt from the 10-yard line.
Yeah, it was. Well, okay, it tells you a few things. One is that it shows you how hard scoring from the 10-yard line is. Number one, all right. Yeah, I think that's always been a little something like fans don't really realize. Like I mean. When you're on the 1-yard line, it's one thing. I mean, it's still very hard to score on the 1-2 yard line. Yeah. But the 10-yard line is it 5 or 10? It's a 10-yard.
So
line, right?
10 is for 3, 5 is for 2, and 2 is for 1.
It's not easy to score in the red zone. It's actually easier for the defense to defend. Okay.
Yes.
A lot of people.
There's less field to cover.
Exactly. So. I can understand it. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes on. Like there was some really weird ones. Like I said, like Seattle went for 2 on a play that wouldn't have given them it would have given them a 5-point lead, which I didn't understand. Like if it doesn't.
Well, it's Jim Zorn and he's an idiot.
Yeah, I just didn't get it. So it'll be interesting to see how this play out. What's going to happen is I bet you one team gets really good at 3-point conversions, and it's going to change things.
Yeah.
Also saw on a punt that a guy kicked it out of bounds, or he didn't kick it within the range, and it went to their 45-yard line, and that hurt. I'm thinking to myself, like, it really was a change in the game. Now, looking forward, the big game next week is Ray's team versus my team, our first rivalry week matchup. The New York Gardens, who registered 8 quarterback hits last week. Best defense in the league.
Yeah, as it should be. New York means defense.
Versus the DC Defenders, who have the name defense in their name, who has the best offense, or one of the cool, most potent offenses. Yeah. That should be a good game.
It should be a good game.
I'm going to find out when that game's on. See, this is how you know. I actually want to see that game. So, the schedule. Ray, what are you doing Saturday? What are you doing Saturday at 2 p.m.?
2 p.m. Eastern?
Yes.
11 a.m. Pacific?
That's 11 a.m. That's a good time. You got a little brunch.
That means I'm watching New York versus D.C. That's what I'm doing.
I don't think I'll be able to watch it. But I have a good reason why.
Damn it, Lee. What the...
No. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna check first because I think, I have a better excuse. I think we will let this one slide because I'm looking it up. Hold on, my mouse is not working.
All right. While you're looking that up, I also just want to quickly mention. Yes, one of the kicks happened at the end of the first half in the L.A.-Houston game when L.A. was. They were down 18-17 at the half. Mind you, now Houston would go on to basically score 25 straight and kill Houston. But when Houston still had a chance. When LA still had a chance, Houston kicked the ball out of bounds in the kickoff, went to the opposing 45. If LA was better at time management, they messed up the time management, and they only have, remember, there's another big rule, there's only 2 timeouts a half. Nick Novak, the kicker for LA, desperately was trying to call a timeout, and he couldn't because they had already used both timeouts. They didn't have a third. They had 1 second left when they started the clock when the refs blew the whistle, didn't immediately snap it, didn't get a chance to kick a 40-yard field goal that would have given them a 2-point lead at the half. And, well, the rest is history. Houston ran momentum-wise unfettered in the second half and scored 20 more points and won 37-17. But, yes, most teams, if they know what they're doing, which L.A. clearly doesn't, that's a huge advantage starting at your opponent 45. You only need 10 yards to be in field goal range.
How many football teams do you need in L.A., honestly?
Oh, God, we don't need any of the teams that we have right now. I mean, the Chargers should go back to San Diego. The Rams should go back to St. Louis. The Wildcats, I guess you kind of look like the USC Trojans a little bit. I mean, they're both terrible, so...
Okay.
Anyway, so what's your schedule, Lee?
I've figured this out. You're all going to have to follow me here because, Ray, this is going to be funny and confusing. Okay, so this Saturday, I will not be in Philadelphia. I will be in Colorado, which means I will be Mountain Time, which is 2 hours behind.
So noon. The
game will start at noon, which I will be able to watch because that evening I will be at the Stadium Series game in Colorado Springs to see the Colorado Avalanche take on the Los Angeles Kings.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that's going to be a fun sports day with me. We're going to beat New York, all right? And then I'm going to watch 2 teams that I have no affiliation with. and an outdoor game at the Air Force Stadium. It'll be fun.
It should be fun. You guys should have a good time there. I completely forgot about the outdoor stadium series.
Well, it's my job to not forget, and I'm going to be there, so now you can't forget.
Well, yeah, no, now I'll have to. Yeah, I'll remember now, but here's the thing, folks. I love hockey, but I'm mostly paying attention to the Rangers.
Yeah, no. You're a Rangers fan, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm a hockey fan. There's a difference. Like,
yes.
As much as you're a baseball fan, I'm a Phillies fan.
Right, exactly. That's the perfect way to talk about to explain it. Yes.
Yeah, I think football, we're both pretty good football fans.
We're both football fans. Yeah. No, but I think that's fair. Lee is more hockey. I am a Rangers fan. Yes. And I used to be a Knicks fan.
Who?
We don't talk about that team. Exactly. Although the Knicks are actually only they're only 15 games. They're only 15 games under 500 now. That's like a record that's the best record we've had in 20 years.
Amazing. All right, so real quick before we move on, just XFL Week 1, DC Defenders win 31-19 over the Sea Dragons. Yeah. Houston Roughnecks win 37-17 to the LA Wildcats. Keeping in mind, these are closer games than they sound. You can't look at these with an NFL eye. These are all two-score games, essentially. Okay? New York Guardians killed the Tampa Bay Vipers, who could put up a measly 3 points to the Guardians 23. And then in a game that was the closest, the Battlehawks won 15-9 over the Dallas Renegades in a good football game. Yeah. Best part after the game was after the Battlehawks won, they go in their locker room and they're stone cold in beers and shotgun and beers, and the XFL embraced it. They totally embraced it. Like, hell yeah, man! You won it. So next week, real quick, the Guardians play the Defenders Saturday at 2. This is all Eastern times. Then the Tampa Bay Vipers and the Sea Dragons. I say Sea Dragons because it's Seattle Dragons, but the way it's written here, it says Sea Dragons. Somebody's got to change that. That's going to become a problem. So the Sea Dragons, I'm going to call that forever. In a battle of mediocrity, are going to take on the Vipers, two of the worst teams in XFL history.
I'm going to pick Seattle in that one.
All right, then the Renegades versus Wildcats. I'm going to take the Renegades because the Wildcats don't have the crap together.
The Wildcats look terrible.
And then the Roughnecks against Battlehawks will be a good game too, probably.
I'll take St. Louis in that one. I'll take St. Louis. So I'll pick New York, Seattle, St. Louis, and whoever's playing LA to beat
New York's the DC's at home. Watch out. Tune in next week to Geeks Who Like Sports to find out who has the bigger XFL balls.
Oh goodness. Speaking of a league that doesn't really have a lot of balls, it's baseball. Time to talk about baseball.
Yay, baseball! I'm so hurt. I feel like we are breaking up. We had a breakup, and I'm not ready to rebound yet.
Yeah, we're still furious that none of the players have been penalized in the Houston scandal.
Bad. Yeah, it's bad.
But we're talking about baseball desperately trying to fix its playoff format because they just don't know what to do.
No, they're lost.
So what has been suggested to start in the 2022 season, folks, if you haven't heard this, is to expand to 7 teams per league. Right now it's 5 teams per league. But they want to do 7 teams per league, where the best team in each league gets a bye. Right? There's going to be a wild card round, divisional round, conference, league championship, World Series. Number 1 seed gets a bye into the divisional round.
Yes.
You then have 2 other division winners and a top wild card team. You then have 3 lesser wild card teams.
Let's call them minor wild cards.
The minor wild cards. We'll say the minor wild cards. 2 division winners and a major wild card against 3 minor wild card teams.
Yeah.
The 3 minor wild card teams will take on the division winners and the major wild card team in a best of 3 series. In the best of 3 series, the major team and the division winners are home the entire series. The minor wildcard team gets 0 playoff games, which is terrible because one of the big things that a lot of these minor wildcard teams needs, these smaller market teams probably need, is home game revenue. So already right there, baseball, you've done screwed up. But anyway, then in a reality TV twist, that's what they're calling it.
That's not a lie. That's not something he's just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, that is legit what they're calling it.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to say that.
Yes, I am not making this up. They're calling it in a reality TV twist. The home teams get to choose their minor wild card team opponent. Are you kidding me? You are doing... This is the exact opposite of how sports are supposed to work. It's the best teams against the worst team. 1 versus 6, 2 versus 5, 3 versus 4.
The Family Feud song.
Oh my
right?
God, that is awesome. You sound like, yeah, it's the Family Feud. It's like, what are you
New
doing?
York Yankees, come on down. You have to pick one of these 3 opponents to face yourselves in the wild card matchup of the year. Who are you gonna pick?
You're gonna pick the worst team.
All right,
People are like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the Yankees picked the Red Sox? No, they're not going to be thinking about money. They're not going to be thinking about ratings for the league. They're going to be thinking, who can I beat to get to the next round?
So, right? Now, this is what's cool about this show. I actually have professional experience having coached in a league where you get to pick your opponent.
Tell me about this. Tell me me about this, please. What happened?
I was coaching in the English Premier League in England. Okay, this is professional ice hockey in the United Kingdom, and the way their format's set up, and there's other leagues in Europe that do this too, is when you get to the playoffs, you get I believe the first and second seeded team got buys or something like that, similar to baseball, and then the remaining 4 had to pick their opponent, so the other 2 teams could pick their opponent. So we were in a position one year. I think we came in 4th or 3rd, and we had to pick our playoff opponent. Okay, and a lot goes into these decisions. Okay, and there's a lot of psychology that goes into it too. Okay, so almost every year the team picked the team they should have played. Okay, like nobody jumped the gun. Like because what happens is like 3rd doesn't want to play 5th. They go for the lowest seed. So what's supposed to happen normally happens. When it gets mixed up, it's when a team just seems to have owned another team the entire year.
Right.
All right. So and we did have that one year where a team picked a higher seeded team because they had beaten them every year, right? But then the psychology plays into it. That team didn't like that, and they actually ended up beating the other team in the playoffs.
Right.
Right. So overall, as a coach, I thought this was stupid. I didn't like the choose your own fate thing.
Yeah.
I hated it. It's like that's not why we play. I'm playing for home ice advantage, home field advantage. That is something that's very valuable. Okay, maybe more valuable than people realize. Playing at home is a huge value. I always liked playing for that.
Yeah,
that was a very valuable thing. Keep in mind, this is Euro sports. Where winning the league championship is different than winning the playoffs. Okay, so that's one thing. But the idea of no fate but what we make kind of thing is just like what are we doing here? It was stupid. It was dumb. You fired up the other team if you didn't pick them, right? Or if you did pick them, depending on how you looked at it, right? And it didn't accomplish a thing. Like, it didn't add anything. It just made things more uncomfortable. Plus, as a coach, this might be different for fans, as a coach, it's just a massive distraction. Because then all of a sudden you have to answer questions to the media about why you chose this team, which you don't want to say.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want to give anything away. God, I'd love to see Belichick have to deal with this. But we're on to Miami. We're on to Cincinnati. But I hated it. Now, this entire thing, oh man, I don't want to say it's ridiculous, but it's freaking ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Because here's the thing, man. It's like, first off, I wouldn't even want to entertain this unless they shorten the season, which they're not going to do.
That's very true, yeah.
Okay? Like, the last thing we need right now is
another round of playoffs.
Well, you're going to go through what? You're going to be in October. You're going to be
playing baseball in November.
Which I hate, because one of my biggest gripes with with baseball, like, you can never give up October, and I get that. All right? October's October. But I really hate the idea that this is an outdoor sport you play in this massive heat of summer the whole year, majority of the season, and all of a sudden it's raining and cold and granted, they can't control the weather, but I don't like the idea that you can be great during the regular season and then the weather changes and now it's like you're playing in different conditions. I didn't get that. All right?
Yeah.
So one is you're going to have to shorten the season to even consider this, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. All right? I hate that it's a 3-game series and they're all at home. That's just, look how different we are. Stupid, like you said. That doesn't help the teams that need the revenue. Yep. You know how much revenue one playoff game has been making these wild card teams? I mean, it's huge.
It's huge,
right?
Yeah.
I just don't get why baseball has to do this crap. Like hockey, football, basketball, 7 games, 1 game. You know what's happening. Is basketball still doing 5 games in the first round? I can't remember.
I think so.
But the point is, we know what we're getting. It's even. It's fair. Why would I want to see the Phillies in a 3 away game wild card thing that we're already at a disadvantage? Like, what's the point? Just to see if they can do it? And then, can you imagine what's going to happen when one of those teams wins the World Series? Like, the last minor wild card team, and they go on to win the entire thing. Yeah. Right? Like, they hear about that forever. Like, you don't have enough problems right now. How about this baseball? How about this MLB? Stop your freaking teams from cheating. Have a good season and a good World Series. I don't mind. This is one of those things I've switched on throughout the years. I don't mind that the baseball postseason is so short because the regular season is so long. Yeah. If they shorten the regular season, I would change on this. But I like it. It's compact. It's 6 weeks. It's powerful baseball. We have enough baseball fans in the country that if the Phillies aren't in it, I'm still going to watch some baseball. I watched the Nationals win last year. Yep. Okay? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're sacrificing the game now. You're going to make traditionalists lose their freaking mind, number one. Okay, but you're sacrificing...
which is really all you have hanging around the game.
Right,
anymore,
yeah,
really.
Not a good time to piss them off. Yeah. Right? So you're going to change your game because of the actions of a few teams. And this is really, let's be honest, this is a distraction. This is what they want.
Yep.
You know what I'm doing right now, Ray? It's hot stove season. I'm watching the Phillies. I'm being honest. I'm watching Joe Girardi talk about our team and the chances that we have. And he's a very inspirational manager, by the way. Right? Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the baseball season. I'm trying to put this cheating crap behind me.
Yep.
And then you come out with this. What are you doing?
Yep.
What are you doing? And again, I'll be the first to admit if it's, 2023 and it's awesome and I was wrong. But it's like so many moving parts. Can you imagine having to try and explain this to someone? It's already hard enough to explain baseball to someone who doesn't understand baseball. Can you imagine trying to explain this? Oh, this is how the postseason works. There's a minor league team. You get a bye. There's a 3-game at home series. If you win that, you move on to the divisional series. Then it's kind of like it was before. Oh, by the way, the All-Star game doesn't help you with the World Series anymore. So then the Yankees spent $1 billion and then they won again. Wait a minute. Is that how it ends again?
Yeah, that's usually how it's going to end that way anyway. So
I just want red pinstripes over the darkest blue black pinstripes. They're not black, people, right?
They're not.
Are they black? They're not.
No,
black.
They're not. They're navy. They're dark navy. They're midnight navy blue.
I can't stand when people are like black pinstripes. I'm like, they're not black. Even I know that. God damn it. Okay. The Black Sox. Okay. The White Sox. The White Sox have black lines. Yes. That's it. Okay? Yes. That should be called the Black Sox, but it doesn't matter. The Yankees' colors are not black. It is deep blue. Deep midnight blue is the color of hell and the imperial forces.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
I hate you, Ray. You know what I could use right now? While you're dying is a snack.
Yes, I could use a snack as well. Here we are, folks, going into we're going to wrap it up. We're in our mashup. We mentioned at the beginning of the show, me and Lee enjoying some Girl Scout cookies. And
now I want Thin Mints.
Yeah, I'm all out of Thin Mints.
No. Stop.
But yeah, so for today's question, not a mashup per se, but today's question of the week. We do this sometimes instead of a traditional matchup. We sometimes just ask you guys a question. What is your favorite game time snack or movie snack or gaming snack? Like
they change though.
They're definitely changed. Because I go to the movies and it's popcorn and a soda. But when I'm gaming, it's something honestly like I'll get like a Hot Pocket.
That is we were taught that by the TV. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true, but it's true. Lee knows this. Lee knows, especially in college. I used to like.
Oh my god!
I survived.
I had them for you. I remember this time. You'd come over. We'd have Hot Pockets in my dorm room.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like it's like that's like, and then obviously, and for like a sports, like if I'm going to a stadium, I'm getting a hot dog. I'm getting some kind of that's my thing. It's a hot dog and a soda.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is it my turn?
Yeah. What are your snacks?
Okay, so if it's a movie theater, I'm getting popcorn, and I think it's been discovered that that's one of the worst things you can eat, and I don't care if I'm going to the movie theater. I'm getting some salty ass popcorn. I'm going to enjoy it. Okay, I don't put butter on mine. That's a little too much over the top for me. Yes, that's just me. I like the salt. I don't put butter on mine. I like
the butter.
Listen, enjoy the film, whatever it takes. Right, popcorn.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Just for you out there, little life hack. If you want popcorn, but you don't want that tub, get the kids pack. I always get the kids pack. I mean, I like the tub of popcorn too, but like it's affordable. It's actually not $6,000.
Yeah.
You get the popcorn, you get some kind of like little jelly treat and a soda or icy, which I always get. It's a much better deal. Also, ices, Ray, you won't have to pee during the movie if you have an icy. It's good advice.
That's good.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, that's my movie theater. When it comes to gaming, it depends, right? So I really like Chex Mix a lot.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but the problem with gaming is you got to be able to keep your hands on the controller, off the controller, on the controller, off the controller, on the controller, off the controller. So if you're doing a hot pocket, you just pause the game to enjoy that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or depending on what you're playing. But I really, really like Chex Mix quite a bit, or salty snacks like that, keeping with that theme. Also, for gaming, it's more what I drink. Big on soda during that. Okay, depending on what my kids did that day, might turn into a beer. Okay, but mostly it's just soda. Now, sporting events, this is different. If I'm watching sports, I like to get a cheesesteak if it's an afternoon game and have my lunch watching it. So I do that a lot.
You got the advantage of being in Philadelphia, right? Like, I mean,
I do. Yeah. But I get a hoagie, a cheesesteak. Now that I'm thinking of it, if I'm watching sports, I get my traditional local hoagies, cheesesteak, Philadelphia things, and I enjoy it while watching the game. Because keep in mind, typically I'm watching the Eagles or I'm watching one of my sports teams. Yeah. Right? Now, if I'm at the game, it changes. Okay, I try and get something at the game that's unique to the city. So, for example, when I go to a Rangers game, I actually get a French dip, even though it's not a Rangers thing, right? Because it's really good at the Garden, right? Right. It's rare that I'll get a hot dog. I try and see if they have the kind of local cuisine and get what I want to get. If I get food at all, because like it's tough to eat during a game like that. I mean, I'm not a big like nacho guy at the event. Me
either.
Yeah. Like if I'm at the game, I'm into the game, kind of thing. So those are my answers. But yeah, like I think the most unique one is like I get cheesesteaks on Sundays, man. That's my thing. And they're good. Yeah.
No, I mean I don't blame you. That's good. Yeah. I will say this: if I'm watching the game from home, I'll usually get a pizza. That's what
Pizza's always a
I usually go with pizza. There's not a lot of great pizza in LA, so I'll usually go something like a stuffed crust.
Right.
Stuffed crust Pizza Hut pizza.
Yeah, it must really be bad out there. I'm thinking about this now.
Yeah, the pizza's terrible out here. It's like it's like horrendous. But
Ray, if you come here today, I'll buy you a pizza.
I would love that so very much.
Actually, if you come here today, I'll up the ante. I will drive with you up to New York to get us pizza. Okay, but it's the deal's only. I'm putting it on clock right now. It's 12:42 Eastern Standard Time. You got to be here by 12:41 tomorrow at this time. New York pizza. and a bagel.
If only. And a bagel too. Yeah, the bagels out here aren't that good either. I will say this also sometimes though, and this is because again the difference in time. Like during baseball season, the Yankee games on the weekends start at 10 a.m. out here.
Yeah.
So what I do sometimes is I'll go get Dunkin' Donuts.
You get breakfast, yeah.
And I'll get breakfast instead of a lunchtime food. Yeah. So if I'm watching the Yankee game here at 10 a.m., I'll run and get Dunkin' Donuts and a coffee real quick. The other thing is I only drink water when I play video games. I only drink water. I rarely drink anything else.
Keeps you focused. Keeps you hydrated and focused.
Yeah, that's usually, and that's the thing. And I'm very, very competitive. By the way, I've won 8 in a row now in Pokemon Go Battle League.
Because I won't battle you anytime soon.
Well, because they upped it now to the next level, and my Venusaur. See, this is what I was getting. My Pokemon are all meant for the stronger leagues. My Venusaur is a monster.
Well, I'm gonna check now and see if I can do that because I've been having real problems because I haven't, and I don't want to power up any of my lower Pokemon because I'm saving it for my bigger Pokemon.
Yeah. I'm when I come over, I'll help you with that. I'll help you figure out which to do.
Just listen to me. Hear me out for a minute, okay? I want to be the very best, the best there ever was. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's my true test. No, I can't. I only have Ultra League on here.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It went up to it used to be Great League. Now it's Ultra League. It's the next step up.
Oh, okay, it is.
So that's for me. That's a big deal. For me, that's a big deal because I'm better set for Ultra and Master League.
There's a Snubble outside my house. Let me get that Snubble. Thank you.
But yeah, so sorry, I went off on a quick Pokemon Go tangent there. But yes, obviously,
that's what the people want. That's what you want. We give you people what they want.
Obviously, though, I like to stay focused when I'm gaming. So usually just water when it comes to drinking, water and hot.
That's funny. I do that when I play actual sports.
Yeah.
Like, so when I'm playing ice hockey, I only drink water. After the game, I have a different type of beverage usually that, it's delicious. But during the game, it's always water.
Yeah. Interesting. Esports is sports. That's what you do when you win esports is sports.
It's
You should
all
always just be
sports.
drinking water. That's
It's
what
all
it is.
sports. Right. Quick question for you while I'm on the air. I just caught this snubble,
Mm-hmm.
and there's fireworks going off behind it. I don't know why. Maybe that's just the power of the snubble.
It's probably just because it's a fairy type.
That's exactly what it is. Okay, well, great
right.
show today, Ray. Once
Yes,
again.
this was a really good show. We really appreciate
Yeah.
everybody who tuned in and listened. Let us know what your favorite snacks are below, but also let us know what you think of the XFL. Let us know what you think about the baseball playoffs. Let us know what you thought about the Oscars. Let us know if your favorite movies won. We really
what should have
appreciate
been
you
there.
guys listening. We really appreciate you tuning in as always. Remember, join the Facebook group. Email us, geekswholikesports@gmail.com. Obviously, geekswholikesports.com is the main website. And for Lee, I'm Ray. Thank you again for listening, as always. And we will see you next week for more Geeks Who Like Sports.